here's the strategy model that I was explaining and how all of this interacts in order to come up with this pipeline that I mentioned. And that is very important because your financial needs and economic needs of your projects need to be aligned. If not, it's very expensive. For instance, if you're not aligned in terms of your human resources that you're going to be able to afford, then you're going to spend a lot of time laying people off and then hiring them back. And these interruptions can be very expensive. So in order to align these needs, I'm going to explain how, in this case of our strategy model, how your this pipeline of projects and partnerships and really partners, people that also care and that envision and share your vision and share and want to support your mission, how you're getting those results, how you're changes that reality, for the good of customers, people, but also, recipients of government aid or people that use a service. How can you, through entrepreneurship, etc., or partnerships, solve those issues that are present on the marketplace and that make the market not work correctly for everyone? So here you can see the model, and this model has 4 different areas, and you can see on orange the 4 different areas. And the first one is the organic market, and that's the market that that is the first market you develop. It has developed organically. So for instance, for a bakery, it would be, that it opens in a corner there in some, small town. It would be the people that go by and buy their bread there. It's the first market, it's the easiest market. It's usually, if you're a service, it's usually the first people that ask you for something, as a contractor, and you're providing them with a service. It could be typewriting, it can be anything. Then we move to the market analysis. And here in market analysis, we develop a understanding of how is it that, okay, so there's 2 areas in the market analysis, and it's really the sector analysis. Here you change your hat, right? And now you're thinking more into how the environment, the ecosystem, the enabling environment is working in that area where you're working. So going back to the bakery, are there any neighborhoods that are not being served with fresh daily bread? That would be the question there. And also on the government, on the policy making side, you should wonder, are there any policies being implemented by government in my neighborhood that require my bread? Okay, so it would be the same example. So here in market analysis, you understand that. And here, as I'll explain later, the explosion in terms of results, it can be, huge. I did it with a large bank, and we went into markets that were underserved, and we didn't go with a first tier solution, like an organic solution, but we went with a market and policymaking solution, a second tier solution. So the capacity already on the organic market, we used it in order to provide our solution to all of those present in the market. And it was really explosive because this was was a fintech with a product of a guarantee fund in order to guarantee small micro loans. And they had their own system to evaluate. And once we started using that second tier service into the organic market and the rest of the market, it was explosive. I mean, everyone started using it. And because of that, so sometimes Depending on your product, going back to the bakery, you could say, well, do I want to own a a new store in every neighborhood where there is not being served? And maybe not. Maybe you should find someone local, that can be a franchise or something of that nature. And you don't need to own everything. So here's and that's why it's explosive, because once you say, well, I don't have to go in and set up shop there and have another organic market, but I'm going to provide these people. They don't have to have the ovens, anything. I'll provide the bread every day for them. It's explosive because a lot of other people are looking for something to do, and they have some kind of situation there. So you're going to use you're going to leverage on the marketplace. And this is the same when you come up with a solution for a country. Instead of that, you come up with a solution for a global market. Well, once it kicks in, the numbers are explosive. And look, and here's the demonstration of that, is that all new unicorns, all large companies that have been recently developed, they all respond to a global market. Okay, so after the market analysis, right, we also go into partnerships and networks. And here we understand how is the ecosystem behaving? How is all the other actors that are out there also working for the same purpose? So it's a third dimension to increase the size of the market. Look for strategic alliances as well as natural connections that can become the value proposition of an enterprise. An alliance, as well as an acceleration of fintechs or technological enterprise that close gaps in financial market or GovTechs. Yeah, and this has been my experience. Sometimes in certain parts of the world, you're going to find certain services or sectors more developed than others. So if you go into a new country and you set up and you have a solution, you have a good business, and well, sometimes it's good to look around and see, is there a good marketplace? Is there a new trend? Is everyone using something? And that can be a solution for the way you enter that market. So basically, and following these steps, you can see here's the equivalency model of your strategies. Here on dimension 1, you can have an impact of $1, but that same product or service, depending on where you situate yourself on the value chain, and if you do it from a second tier, it can go from 2 to 25. In the third tier, you can go from 2 to 200. Just the same dollar can have a larger impact. Okay, so and here we do a strategy analysis in terms of what is the best solution? What is the best solution for your strategy? In conclusion, this model can show the impact of the analysis. I mean, doing this analysis before entering the market, it's powerful because you can understand that the market forces there and those trends and those government policies, etc., the impact they can have is very large. It's so the analysis itself explains itself, the importance of doing it. Second, when shown to an organization's leadership, it can change strategy choices, and that's very important. So again, you can have a successful business in the organic market, changing to the larger market, taking advantage of those trends, partnerships, actors, market actors that are out there. That knowledge can really help you maybe make a strategy choice in your corporate strategy. It also helps to understand the choices available for scaling your product, service, or program up. And that's very much true. Doing the exercise, and of course, this is iterative. You go back and forth, and then usually when you do the 3 levels of the strategy, it helps you your organic market as well. You find out of things that you weren't doing that well. Although in organic market, I always recommend some basic KPIs that will help you understand, how more, in the organic market, you need to be very effective, very cost efficient, etc. So there you have that, the strategy of your for your pipeline. So here you can see, because the fourth line here, program line, is your financial model. And based on your financial model, you can develop your pipeline. What's interesting here is what you see below in green. So you can see there that here you have the programs, and all of those little programs there are going to require financial components. So you need to develop your pipeline, your line in time. It's a line in time. You'll develop your pipeline to meet the requirements of each one of these program areas or products or services. Okay, so your project, your income pipeline will have to meet those requirements. So it's always, once you do a pipeline, you say, well, each of these areas, how much do they need? What do they need? And based on that analysis and the analysis we do for partnerships, we say, well, here is the best solution. And this will make the financial need be met by your financial model. So yeah, that's your pipeline. I hope you can use the knowledge. Remember, you can look for my book, Partnerships and Networks, in Amazon, where I explain a lot of these matters.